Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student Matthew Leonard, coming to you live via Zoom and being socially distant as recommended.
Bill, do you have an extra smock? It's about to get a little messy in here. Today we're bringing back memories of elementary school art class, but this time with a purpose. As we learn about a Long Island organization of mural artists dedicated to transforming healthcare environments from clinical to colorful.
The organization is called Splashes of Hope, and our guest is Liz Schafer, their volunteer manager. Liz, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you so much. We're very excited to be here today.
Liz, before we get into Splashes of Hope as a project, how are you doing during this pandemic?
I'm doing good. I'm staying busy with all the volunteer work for Splashes of Hope, as well as my schoolwork. Currently a junior in college, so between those two things, I've been staying very busy from home.
Actually, that's probably the best way to fight the pandemic. If we can stay occupied and keep our mind on other things, we feel better about it.
Exactly, especially when you're working to do something great for other people. It's been great to have that sense of purpose throughout this pandemic.
That really does make a big difference. I don't think a lot of us realize it till we get involved in a project. And why do we feel so good? But we're doing something to help others, which is what we should be doing. So thank you for all your efforts there.
Please tell us, what is Splashes of Hope and how did it all get started?
Yeah, so Splashes of Hope is a nonprofit of artists creating customized murals for positive change. We started by creating murals primarily for children's hospitals, with whimsical imagery to engage patients. And then over the years, we started to create murals for adult patients in hospitals and various other institutions, such as family clinics, psychiatric centers, homeless shelters, and veterans residencies. We have also expanded our mission to create murals in public spaces to brighten neighborhoods and communities through the artwork. Just in 2020 alone, we created 288 murals. It all began in 1996, so we're coming up on our 25th anniversary this year, which is very exciting. And we continue to grow and place murals within locations to put a smile on people's faces.
I love that you put the smile on the people's faces. Now, let me just ask you to repeat some numbers, because I was shocked. I was trying to write them down. How many did you say you did last year? Was it 188?
288.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And that was a very difficult year.
Oh, yeah. I was blown away when I got that number back as well, because I think it's really a testament to our executive director, Sarah, and our founder, Heather, of what they were able to adapt and shift to make Splashes of Hope be able to continue to run throughout the pandemic. And we were kept having to adapt, but we figured out a way. And I was super impressed when I heard that we were able to complete 288 murals last year.
That really is an accomplishment. And you said, if I heard you correctly, that this organization began in 1996?
Yes.
I was actually going to ask you, did you start it? Because I thought it was something that may have come about just in the last few years. Obviously, you're much too young to have started in 1996. So it's been around for literally 25 years now.
Yeah. It's I've been a part of Splashes for the past 2 years, and I've even just watching it grow within that time has been amazing. But yes, it's been around for quite some time now.
Now, Liz, can you take us through the process a little bit? Do you pick the places, or does a place call you and say, would like a mural on the wall, and could you do dinosaurs and elephants or something? Or do you bring a team in? Do you have changeable artists that come in, or specialists in whether you want nature or mountains or lakes or trees?
Yes, so generally places reach out and they're looking for a mural, and then we go and do a site visit at that place. And that's where we get all the specifications of what the mural should be about, what the audience will be, and how that mural can best serve the facility. So we get everything we need there, what theme, what the purpose of the mural is. especially when in certain medical facilities, the murals can really be used as a tool to help the healing process. So we try to make sure that we are fitting in all the specifications of what they're looking for. And after we have that information, we create a layout design and propose that layout design to the location to see if that's what they're looking for. And once that's completed, either we find a sponsorship for the mural, and after we have a sponsor, then our artists can create the mural. Often murals are created on masonite panels off of the site and then installed on site. Occasionally, there are murals that are still created directly on site, but it depends on what works best with the workflow of the location and our volunteers being able to paint, especially now during the pandemic. It's been great to be able to have the flexibility of having artists paint on panels and then be able to install them, because then we can have a lot more volunteers working from a distance to continue the mission.
So let me do a scenario and tell me if this would be right. First of all, we're talking about a healthcare facility. So they would contact you. You would get together, I guess, with them and decide that maybe you want to do a water scene. And you would show them an example. They would approve it. And then you would go off premises. You could do it on a facility or something that could be movable, so that if the room where you were going to put it eventually gets reconstructed or torn down, you would still have the artwork and you could put it in another room. Is that basically it?
Yes, definitely. We're able to have these panels so that they can be installed in a room. And if a hospital or healthcare facility goes under construction, that it could be taken off and placed back up after construction is finished. And in terms of what facilities ask for within the murals, they do normally ask for a certain theme or scenery that they would like to see included in the mural. And we have our general Splashes of Hope style, which is realistic but also whimsical. We tend to make fun characters and bright colors for children, but then if something's geared for adults, we may go with a more scenic mural. And then but we do stick to that general realistic, whimsical style, and we stick to like happy and brighter colors, especially for the locations that the murals are being placed in.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Matt Leonard, and I'm along with Bill Horan, and today we are talking about Splashes of Hope, a Long Island organization of mural artists dedicated to transforming healthcare environments from clinical to colorful, with our guests Liz Schafer, their volunteer manager. Now, my next question, Liz, is can you tell us about an experience you've had with bringing artwork to a healthcare center? Like, is there one that stuck out to you out of all the times you've done this?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the latest installations that I went to, it's actually the first installation that I went on since the pandemic. It was to Brickdale Medical Center, and this facility in particular has received Splashes of Hope murals in the past. So as we walked through the halls, I got to see previous murals, and the healthcare staff there kind of shared their testimonials of how they've integrated those murals into the hospital, and they'll use them as destinations for patients when they're walking in the hallway, to stop with a child and do an I Spy with the mural, and to hear their stories of how they've been able to use these murals, but then also see the excitement of a new mural being installed was a really, really great experience. And I think it was particularly cool to see the transition from murals that have been made in the past to our current projects, to see how things have evolved over time.
Liz, can you tell us, how did this come about? And can you tell us your experience in getting involved in Splashes of Hope?
Yeah, so I was actually told about Splashes of Hope through my neighbor, Scott, who was a volunteer for Splashes. And he knew that I was coming home from college for the summer, and that Splashes of Hope was looking for volunteer artist interns. And he was like, I think this would be the perfect opportunity for you. So I looked into the Splashes of Hope mission, and I completely agreed. I love that it's something that I would be able to learn and grow, but I would simultaneously be able to help others and create a positive change. And it really has offered that experience for me where I've gotten to learn and grow so much, both as an artist in the studio and also working as a volunteer coordinator and filling different roles within Splashes and connecting into the community has been so wonderful. To be able to do that while also knowing you're making a difference has been a great experience. And that's
as a business person, when I see someone who has something like this on their resume, meaning that they volunteered, they did something, naturally there's you ask a few questions about it. If it's just something minor, like we put up ropes at a festival or something, well, that's important, but they really didn't get too involved. But it sounds like you're heavily involved. So you've really had some real world experience, not only in the field of art, but in dealing with hospitals and dealing with people. And you're still taking your college courses, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Yeah, it certainly, like I said before, it keeps me very busy because I'm involved in so many different aspects of Splashes now. And you're right, it gives such a variety of real world experience that couple great with my college classes because it puts that real world action into some of the things I may be learning.
It's fantastic what you're getting, and that's irreplaceable. Students, anybody can go to a class and learn things, which is great. But the real world experience, as a person who would be hiring, when I see that automatically gives you several jumps ahead of people because, again, you have experience. You've gone through this. You've learned about dealing with people and dealing with organizations. So that's fantastic.
I've learned about how to do phone calls and emails and generate team meetings and keep that team spirit alive, especially now during the pandemic, figuring out how to keep the volunteers connected into a community and be able to lead that group of volunteers while also painting and learning from everyone else we have some talented and experienced painters who share their wisdom. So getting all those different aspects, as well as I've been helping with social media and marketing. And every time there's a new venture, I get to kind of dip my toes in and experiment in all these different areas to learn something new. And that's been a lovely development that I've grown so much over just the past 2 years.
How has Splashes of Hope adapted the artwork as a result of the pandemic? Like, did you guys paint little masks on some of the characters, or are there things encouraging people social distancing or anything like that? Or is it just the same you guys have been doing for 25 years?
Yeah, I think there's a delicate balance between making sure you include those masks and showing that social distancing, but also thinking of the legacy of these murals and how they're going to last post-pandemic. But I think the big shift that we've made is prior to the pandemic, we did a lot of work directed specifically for patients at healthcare centers. And after the pandemic began, we shifted to also really highlighting and paying tribute to the caregivers of the patients as well, and the healthcare workers who are in these facilities, and making sure that we highlight them just as much within these murals. We recently created our first public mural in Huntington Station on the side of Aboff's paint store, and it's dedicated to healthcare heroes as essential workers in the community during the pandemic. And we also did similar murals to thank healthcare workers that were installed in hospitals in Queens and New Jersey. So that has been one of the major ways we've shifted during the pandemic.
Liz, how do you find it working with volunteers? If you're for instance, if you were running a simple retail store, somebody's the boss and they tell the people put the clothes out or put the food out, etc. But now you're dealing with volunteers. What has your experience been with that?
It's been amazing. I'm dealing with volunteers, but I'm a volunteer myself. And so working with this amazing community, it's so supportive and it gives everybody a sense of purpose. There's such a diverse community of volunteers. We have people from all different walks of life and different stages in life, but we're all working towards the same goal, and everyone's there for a purpose, and it unites us all and has given me relationships and connections that I couldn't have imagined, that I'm so grateful to have. And especially prior to the pandemic, we were often working alongside each other in the studio and painting murals. You sit there and you talk for a long time and you really get to know each other and learn from each other. And as I became volunteer manager right as the pandemic hit, it was a priority to ensure that that community didn't go away. And I'm really proud to say that Splashes of Hope, the community of volunteers, has only grown and strengthened. We have team meetings, which are not mandatory for volunteers, but often many volunteers come to them. And it's a moment for me to give an update about what Splashes of Hope is up to, but also for volunteers to connect. I'll create a meeting theme that we all go around and we answer some questions. Sometimes it's specific to Splashes, but others it's just solely focused on getting volunteers to connect and learn more about each other. And it's allowed us to really grow and have some of those same like heartfelt experiences that we may have had while working together in the studio. And I think when you're all working together on a mission to uplift, you get uplifted yourself. So I always said that's something that I didn't maybe expect when I went into Splashes, because my goal was to help others, but like it has changed myself so much as well. It really gives hope to everybody involved. I've had volunteers share experiences of how like they felt they were in a rough spot when they started volunteering for Splashes, and through volunteering and being surrounded by this community and meeting people, it really changed their outlook and shifted how they were doing. And to hear those experiences from not only mural recipients, but the volunteers themselves was something that was an unexpected real benefit of Splashes.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Matt Leonard. I'm along with Bill Horan, and today we are talking about Splashes of Hope, a Long Island organization of mural artists dedicated to transforming healthcare environments from clinical to colorful, with our guest, Liz Schafer, their volunteer manager. Now, my next question is going to be a little bit of a tough one, Liz. What is one of your favorite Splashes memories that you've made?
Yeah, that's a tough one because there's so many, and like being involved in so many different aspects, I feel like I have a different memory for each thing. I'll talk a little bit about a painting for a purpose that I worked or that I was volunteered at my first summer with Splashes. And painting for a purpose events are not something that we're running right now due to COVID, but these events offer an opportunity for our supporters to be involved in the mural making process. So a company or a person will sponsor a mural, and we will have that mural brought to an event, and it's painted in at the event. And this specific painting for a purpose was my favorite because of the people who volunteered to help with it were from all different parts of Splashes. So we had some of our volunteer artists there. We had our executive director and our administrative team. We had supporters there, and also one of our current ambassadors who was a previous Splash Star. Our Splash Stars are children that we create murals for who are facing medical challenges. And to see all these different people who are from different areas of Splashes come together and hear each person's perspective of how that they've been involved with the organization, I think it solidified for me that as much as we highlight the artists, that there are so many different people that keep the Splash mission alive, from like our board members and the people working on fundraising and searching for grants and marketing and event planning and all these different aspects to come together and be in one place at one time. It was the first time that fully happened for me, and I think getting to see that was a really great experience.
Liz, where do you get the funds for, obviously, the supplies that are needed, and every business has some expenses that are going to come into play? How does Splashes of Hope get the funds for that?
Well, we rely on our supporters to make donations to Splashes of Hope. We have companies sponsor murals, and our Painting for a Purpose events was one way that we would have companies sponsor murals and get to be involved within the process. We hold fundraisers throughout the year to raise money, and we try our best to keep raising those funds. That way we're able to provide these murals. I know during the pandemic that just as many other nonprofits and people in general, that we've definitely had to make some significant budget cuts, but we're really working to continue to raise funds so that we can keep our mission going. And we thank everybody who's donated to keep the mission alive.
That's great. And I'm sure I think Matt may have a question, want to follow up just how different businesses can get involved. And it sounds like a great way to help people get their name out there and really be part of the Long Island community. Matt?
Yeah, you're right, Bill. I definitely have a question about that. How can someone sponsor a project, make a donation, or just get involved in general with Splashes?
So to sponsor a project, to get involved, or to make a donation, you can visit our website at splashesofhope.org or call 631-424-8230. And we have all different ways for people to engage and get involved. You can volunteer as an artist in our studio. You can volunteer and help with general tasks, administrative, researching for grants. And for a company to sponsor a mural is a great way for a company to partner with Splashes, and we'll feature their logo within the mural. And we've had some great sponsorships and supporters over the years who have made many murals possible.
Liz, do you have a rough idea of what, if a company, do they just make a contribution toward this, or are there levels that they have to contribute in order to get their name on a mural?
It really depends on the specific sponsorship. We have different projects, there's all different types of projects, and each one has different specifications. So we appreciate just a contribution or donation, and then we also look for full sponsorships for a mural. And each one may be executed a little bit differently depending on the specific situation. So there's definitely a lot of information on our website about how each sponsorship works and how that would work for the company as well as Splashes of Hope.
And where physically on Long Island? Is there a physical location that you're based out of?
Yeah, so we're based out of Condrey Hall in Huntington. We call it our studio, or like the castle, because it kind of looks like a castle. And prior to the pandemic, many of our artists were painting out of that studio. And now we're working from a grab and go system. So artists from across Long Island paint at their projects at home. We give artists what we are calling our focal points, which are smaller versions of our murals that they can actually fit inside their homes comfortably. And so they will come to our studio a designated day each month. They will pick up a project, take it home. We give them the supplies and the references. And then once they finish that project, they bring it back at the next grab and go. And that is all based out of our studio in Huntington.
Liz, we naturally think of artistic endeavors when you think of Splashes of Hope, but does your organization also need people in other fields like salespeople, fundraisers, marketers, internet people? Is there room for volunteers there? Should people be considering that?
100%. We're always looking for all different types of volunteers. And as I said before, our artists are often highlighted, and rightfully so, but it really takes a village to run Splashes, and everybody has those different skill sets that are so much needed. And I've definitely learned that from getting to work in all these different areas, social media, marketing, sales, researching grants and fundraising, or organizing our events. There's so much that goes into just the day-to-day Splashes, and we're always looking for more volunteers in that area.
So it's a good place if someone's looking to volunteer, if they have some skills, if they're waiting to begin their career, or perhaps retired or semi-retired, a lot of opportunities for them, right?
Yes, exactly.
See, we're doing a free commercial for you. We're trying to get you a lot of help.
How do you think the experience at Splashes of Hope will influence your professional career? And what do you hope to achieve professionally, and what career path are you aiming for after this?
Yeah, I think that Splashes of Hope has mainly influenced my career and my professional career in two ways. The first is with what I want to do. I think Splashes of Hope solidified that I really wanted to make sure that whatever I did makes a hands-on positive difference. Whenever I have like a strong purpose behind what I do, I get a lot of passion for that. And so I think that definitely is something that I solidified through Splashes. And also I have found a love for being able to coordinate and lead this group of volunteers. And so I definitely want to incorporate that scale into whatever job I have in the future. I'm currently majoring in art education, so I'm definitely looking into becoming a teacher possibly, but I'm also exploring all my options. And I think Splashes has opened my eyes to all the different types of careers that are out there. And the other way that Splashes has really influenced my career is that all the skills I'm learning are applicable to whatever I'm doing. And I know that those are going to be really large help to have in the future. So as I mentioned before, like just doing phone calls and learning how to reach out and connect to volunteers and how to do some marketing on social media and organizing a team and connecting with this network of volunteers are all things that are going to be beneficial for me in whatever career that I end up pursuing.
Liz, I think you're a great salesman for the organization just saying that, and I'm sure you're being very truthful because, as I said, if I saw that on a resume, that tells me a lot about you. You're willing to give a lot of time. You've had real-world experience, which most people coming into a job have very minimal, or if they do have something, it's they put jelly into jars at the jelly factory. Well, that's nice, but it doesn't help many other jobs where you're really dealing with people, healthcare professionals, artists. You really have a great variety. Before we wrap up for today's show, let's take a few seconds. And is there anything you'd like to say to the audience? And can you once again give us the website where we should look?
Yes, and I know that I sound very persuasive of all the great things that I do for Splashes, but I genuinely mean it. Splashes has been such a positive aspect of my life, and I'm so grateful to all the different people that I've met through this community and all of the opportunities and experiences I've had. And I would highly recommend anyone to get involved in whatever way that they feel comfortable and are able to. So once again, to make a donation to learn more about Splashes or to get involved, please visit our website at splashesofhope.org or call 631-424-8230. And we also would like to invite the public to save the date for September 23rd, 2021. And that will be our 25th anniversary celebration. It's going to be held at Condrey Hall, but there will also be a virtual way for people to engage. So please reach out and get involved for Splashes of Hope. You could find us on social media and our website. And we encourage everybody to participate.
We want to thank Liz Schafer. She's the volunteer manager at Splashes of Hope. Liz, good luck to you, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate this opportunity.
I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Matt Leonard. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We'd like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.